Allora ragazzi, ben arrivati su una nuova puntata del Calice Nero di domenica, quindi domenica siamo qua, vi facciamo compagnia perché oggi c'è Sua Maestà, niente poco di meno che Mr. George Kollias. Quindi ragazzi, oggi veramente si va a creare arte visiva, musicale e un qualcosa di speciale. Buongiorno Margherita Vanarca.
Buongiorno. Veniamo da una settimana molto particolare, siamo stati al Titans of Metal, che ricordiamo era il festival di Cassino partner del Calice Nero e di Volt Lab, è stata una bomba. Quasi in tutte e due le serate abbiamo sfiorato le 2000 presenze, quindi è un buon segnale di musica live che va benissimo. Ci tengo a ringraziare Fabio e tutta l'organizzazione per averci coinvolti sia come band che come stand per l'etichetta, per l'associazione e tutto il resto. Quindi prima di fare entrare George Kollias è doveroso anche ciao Francesco, è doveroso
Ciao,
anche dire questo. Quindi senza ulteriori indugi ciamiamo in diretta il carissimo George Kollias che ci sta aspettando nell'anticamera, no, del Calice Nero. So without further ado, welcome George to il Calice Nero, and sorry I didn't catch you drinking the it's
Ciao,
the beauty of Sea Live. Ciao,
yes.
George. Hello. How are you, first of all?
Ciao carissimo.
Doing good. I'm very happy we finally made it because last time we were about to stream, we had some technical problems, but all good now.
Yeah, but we are tough enough to carry it until we made it, and also because being harassed from Alan is not a daily thing, so
yeah.
But he's doing things with his art, so thanks also to Alan that had the patience to bring George, because of course you were involved in some things new that we cannot say that. But without further ado, thanks to all the guys that asked George Kollias to be here. We got a huge request from the followers of the Calice Nero, because fans
thank you everyone,
fans of extreme drumming, thanks of metal drumming in general, because of course George is. And also we got Derek Roddy as one of our first episodes, and we said, we have to bring also George to complete the yin and the yang, let's say like this.
Thank you so much.
Thanks you, George. Without
Cioè la crema della crema tra Derek e George, la crema della crema, the creme, proprio the artistic number one.
Alan, so Alan is excited, and so I say, Alan, make your first question in Italian to George. Perfetto. And for the guys, if you want to make your own question to George Kollias, please write on the comment and share the video. Vai Alan.
Perfetto. Allora George, come riesci a creare con la tua batteria a entrare nel mood dell'arte, e come riusciresti a creare solamente con il rullante e una bacchetta il nuovo quadro, la nuova Gioconda?
Okay, so the first question of Alan is like a comparison between making music, expressing your soul on the instrument, on the drums in this case, also with art making, so painting and stuff like that. We know that, of course, metal drumming can, for some guys that does not know how it works, a lot of notes that playing, the fast playing can be misunderstood in a way. But he wants to ask you, you're putting your soul when you record something. How you manage to, for example, being yourself and also making art with the drums? And he wants to focus especially on the sound of the snare drum, because in his opinion, kick and snare drum are the identity of the drummer. I don't know if you agree with that. And you're also your own way to play it, to play the snare in a certain points with certain adds, certain things to express yourself.
Okay, so first question is, how do I think like music drumming relates to painting, for example?
Yeah, sure.
Well, we both hold the stick, so that's one common thing. I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to draw a lot, so that's a coincidence. I think everything art related, it's somehow unique and very special. Of course, you got to give 100%. Especially in metal drumming, which you said it's a little bit misunderstood, but the speed and everything. I get it. There are some drummers, and there are some other drummers who they don't actually see the whole picture, the wide picture. So it's kind of like they're focusing on one thing only, and that takes away a lot from the art. So in my opinion, it's like, if you're focusing one thing, not only metal drumming, but in general, you're missing the whole picture, the beauty of the instrument. So I don't know. It's I think most metal drummers, I see some really, really positive vibe, and most metal drummers actually, they're more open to other styles, and they just educate themselves a little bit more than in the past, for example. So that's it.
Okay. And what about his vision on the snare drum? That he said,
oh, the snare. It depends. If you're a jazz drummer, it's all about the ride. You know. So I wouldn't say the snare drum is my main thing. I would lean towards the ride cymbal as well.
Okay.
If I play some funk or like jazz or something, the identity is of course the ride cymbal. But even for metal, like there is a lot of times that I have a drum session recording, for a band in my studio, and I will check different ride cymbals. Of course, I'll do that with snares too, but I don't know. There's something about the ride cymbal that makes me a little bit more, probably that's my identity. Although I use the same cymbals like in many albums, so I don't know. It depends on what you want to express. But I'm really surprised that a metal drummer will focus on the snare so much. That's I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's also interesting, this topic about the right cymbals, and maybe we can get into it later, because you are the first drummer that say focus on the cymbal sound. Usually when I got my first lesson, so I talk with the fellow drummers, they also say kicks and snare, kicks and snare. But I think that also the identity of the drummer is also from the cymbal, also for the set, the way we tune the instrument to, the sizes, the weight of the cymbals. Because of course, making you an example, like the Joy Jordison, for example, we listen to a lot of album processed, of course, mixed and mastered, but we know that is him. Not only from the snare, but also from the way he play.
Of course. Of course, man. I mean, you leave your stamp anywhere. Like even when I do different genre sessions, for like a rock band or so, you can hear it's George. I mean, I can tell. So I agree about Joy, of course.
Of course, I do not say George because you are here interview with me, but of course you have developed your own style through the years, and we can hear, if we hear something from you, that you record, we know that you have your own.
Well, sometimes the goal is
your signature.
The complete opposite. Sometimes if I record for another band and I want to sound a little bit more light, I don't want to sound like George.
Okay.
So I'm like, but yeah, again, with the right cymbal, or in cymbals in the hi-hat, of course. I mean, these are rhythm cymbals, so we'll use it, for rhythms. So I think it's a very, very important choice in your, total sound, and it's the flavor as well. For example, you see mostly in metal, you see drummers using rock cymbals, like really thick cymbals, and they're like, So
I am the opposite. I have all things.
Me too. And I like, especially on my small setup, I like huge cymbals and very, very thin. And I was listening to Ronald Bruner Jr. Like a couple days ago, and he was playing a song, and it was only groove, like a very busy groove with really tight snare, probably an 18-inch kick or a 20, but tight as well, really boxy. And somehow he got off the cymbals, and man, I could tell these were like 20-inch crashers or something, and I was like, holy fuck, that's it was awesome. So I don't know. Think about a dish, like a food, right? Will be the kick and the snare, and then the salt and pepper is the cymbals, So for me, it's where the flavor is, and I always make sure, or try to make sure I use the right cymbals for the right session.
Ok.
Yeah. Allora, poi dopo leggiamo...
Dopo leggiamo i commenti. So George, since we discussed some topics, we also got some comments.
Leggi quella di Arrogant.
Okay, I'm reading a comment because we also got... ciao Edoardo Di Santo, my friend.
Che ci sarà anche lui poi.
I was really happy to meet George 4 times with 9. Also, thanks to Eduardo Di Santo, George, you are great. You and Nile say Arrogat, our friend Arrogat too. Ciao Arrogat.
Thank you very much. And I gotta say, Eduardo is one of my old students and a very, very close friend to me. He recently did a Nile cover, so I was like, wow, this was killer, So I love his drumming. I think he's amazing.
Also amazing dude, because I had the chance to share the stage with this band.
Yeah.
I think in June in Rome. So we got talking, nerding talking. We also missed the time to do the line check because we were talking about cymbals and stuff. People asking, guys, stop talking. Let's set up the drums and stuff like that. But it's a very, very fun dude. And also we will have him too on the show. And maestro, leggiamo l'altra e poi traduciamo. Another question from Alessandro here. He wants to say, since we are talking about paintings and drawing things and images in general, which images pass through your mind when you compose music and play? And he wants to say, your imagination pops up. Which kind of imagination pops up, and what you are thinking when you are playing drums and you are doing session lives? He said really using a letter by letter transition, what you think when sticks hit the drum heads? What you are thinking?
Usually I don't think of anything. Because you become one with the band, So even though I see my band, I can't really see them. So I mean, when the magic happens, which is not every day, I mean, every day is great, but sometimes there's some extra magic, and when you play, you see the band, and it's like we're talking without talking. It's really fucking weird. So when the magic happens and we're like really, really tight, and we have a great sound acoustic environment, so we can hear each other very well, and the band is tight, and man, that's the next step. It's like, I don't know, I can't really express it. It's like, but definitely I don't think of something in particular, but I just enjoy being a part of the machine. That's the right word. So it's like a machine is working really well, and you are one component, of the machine.
Like an organ of our body. So everyone works to make lives and something like that, to spread something.
Exactly. Of course, that's what I feel.
We got also a different visual behind the kit. It's different. The feeling is different. But even from the audience, when the chemistry goes, also the audience knows that there is something special that night, that evening when they play. So perfect.
In the studio though, it's different because the studio, the live is like, I don't know, the live always has that magic, or some magic. The studio, usually it's really cold. There is no magic. I mean, whoever says I'm in the studio and I'm enjoying it so much, I think it's bullshit, because the studio is like, you got to be super precise. You got to push like everything you have. You got to compose something really challenging and, blend with the band. And, so I think the studio was always not my favorite thing. Although the result, when you hear it, you're like, oh man, I love it. I think we did good or great, or, it depends. So sometimes when I compose drums, right now at these days, for example, we're finishing the pre-production of the new Nile album. So we spent a lot of days in the studio, a lot of days. I mean, this room here, I'm here all day, and not talking, just playing.
I know.
sometimes if I block, I'm like, okay, what do we do here? I don't like what I'm doing. What should I do? Then I try to imagine some of my favorite drummers, what they will do. And it's kind of like seeking for inspiration in my head without, going on YouTube and watch somebody.
Okay.
Because every time I see a drum clip, it records here on the hard drive. So I have the feel, not necessarily a lick or something, like copy something, but the general feel of my favorite drummer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
So that's
Okay, so George, some minutes of pause for you and translation time for me, so I try to get. And there is also my next question, Arrogat, my next question will be the same of Arrogat. Quindi Arrogat, non ti preoccupare che io volevo fare una domanda simile a George, quindi poi dopo la facciamo. Ok, George è stato tante informazioni preziose in questi primi 20 minuti. Abbiamo chiesto della sua identità come batterista in comparazione all'arte. Lui stesso da piccolo disegnava tanto, quindi la vede molto alla stessa maniera, in maniera analoga. Poi per quanto riguarda il rullante, Alan, lui la vede diversa rispetto agli altri. Di solito c'è un maggiore focus sul rullante, quando invece lui preferisce avere una maggiore attenzione verso il piatto ride, che dà la sua espressività. Poi abbiamo parlato dell'identità del batterista, di come riusciamo praticamente a riconoscere un batterista anche dopo una produzione comunque missata, masterizzata. Abbiamo fatto l'esempio di Joy Jordison che si sente in altre sue produzioni. Lo prendevi con gli Slipknot, lo prendevi con i Vimic, lo prendevi con i Korn, eccetera eccetera. Certo. Poi abbiamo parlato anche del fatto della concezione, di come lui la concezione artistica sullo strumento. Alessandro gli ha chiesto quali immagini passano nella sua mente quando compone. Lui invece si concentra nel creare una sorta di chimica con le altre diciamo membri della band, che comunque le persone che sentono la musica lo avvertono e si crea una cosa magica, quindi diciamo che è come se si resettasse durante il live la mente, e quindi lui non pensa praticamente a niente, pensa diciamo a vivere il momento, perché comunque l'atmosfera live è più calda, più accogliente, si vede il risultato di qualcosa per il quale tu lavori tanto in studio, eccetera. Poi comunque abbiamo menzionato Edoardo Di Santo, il nostro amico. Io ci ho suonato con Iade, Jumpscare Iade insieme.
Lo porteremo poi.
Porteremo anche lui, carissimo amico, che salutiamo. Anche Arrogat, insomma, è stato proprio Arrogat che quella volta con Derek e Roddy mandò.
Sì, è vero, che l'abbiamo fatta entrare nel pub.
Sì. Quindi potete vederlo. Comunque anche tutti i dettagli minuziosi della traduzione, non vi preoccupate, potete rivedere il video. Poi abbiamo parlato anche del fatto che i batteristi metal si concentrano troppo sul rullante e ha fatto un riferimento al piatto da mangiare. Rullante e cassa sono il cibo, mentre il condimento, diciamo, sono i piatti. Lui stesso adora prendere dei piatti molto fini, non i piatti spessi. Uno pensa che deve fare meglio, deve avere il piatto spesso, il piatto pesante. Invece anche io sono di questa opinione, infatti tutti i piatti molto leggeri.
Sì, i piatti fini sono che danno più cristallino, cioè un sound
anche nello studio suonano meglio. Io l'unico piatto pesante che ho è proprio uno dei miei 2 ride, ma molto spesso quando ho provato piatti tipo rock, tipo i Wild Crash, quelle cose sembrano più lamiere che piatti.
Certo.
Anche la musicalità, come tocchi, come ti esprimi, quindi si è fatto un discorso molto particolare su questo, e poi sappiamo che comunque Giorgia ha fatto una sua tecnica, un suo modo di pensare, quindi abbiamo fatto questa filosofia batteristica. Come sempre traduzione a volo, anche perché sono passati già 21 minuti e noi vogliamo fare le domande a Giorgio, non vogliamo perdere troppo tempo, ragazzi.
Giorgio, se visto che l'antipasto sono i piatti, l'antipasto è veramente stellato, quindi stiamo parlando di un antipasto da 3.000 euro, ok? Questo perché sto dicendo il prezzo, per il semplice fatto una cosa: l'antipasto costoso potrebbe essere una sorta di colonna sonora per dei musicisti jazz all'interno di una casa di roccata, e George Kollias dovrebbe essere e dovrà essere appunto lui l'interprete di batteria principale con altri 7 batteristi, 2 sassofonisti, un violinista, uno che suona il pianoforte. Cosa uscirebbe di tutto ciò?
Ok,
che antipasto uscirebbe? Come lo...
maestro, mi stai
un nome. No, ma un nome deve dare all'antipasto.
Okay, so George, he was of course linking to the topic that we discussed about the ride symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he wants to know. He imagined a different ensemble, jazz ensemble with more drummers, so multiple drummers playing different parts, saxophone and stuff like that. And the maestro wants to know your approach when, if you get the chance already, we don't know, to play with other drummers and create something unique. And because of course we of the music that we listen every day, one drum kit, of course some percussion, okay, but he wants to know your relationship in a, for example, jazz environment, collaborating and jamming with other drummers. What can would be created in that kind of setting? Also about the ride and the expression and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the question is like, if I was with another drummer, what?
Your approach. Yes, your approach.
Usually, what we do. Okay, well, we do a lot of these on clinics or drum camps.
Okay.
So I had the chance to play with a lot of drummers. In people's mind, this is a drum battle, right? So we battle, we fight, but that's not the case. Usually, for example, if you have a jazz drummer and then I sit next to him, I'm not a jazz drummer. I can approach a little bit, but that's it. I'm not a jazz player. I try to learn though. So what usually I would never expect the jazz drummer to play blast beats on a set. Like if I play 8 bars and he plays 8 bars and we just shifting around. Usually it goes down to the jazz area or funk, So we're gonna, start with a groove or something and try to speak creative a little bit. Sometimes we overplay, which is the beauty. Overplaying is a bad thing when you do it on an album or on a show when you play with a band, But on a drum event, you have to overplay. Yeah. You have to play your ass off, like.
Yeah, it's only in that event we have to do it.
Yeah.
So we have to push at maximum.
Yeah. Just overplay, man. Just exchange ideas. But there is one rule that nobody speaks about it, but we always respect it. You don't try to battle with the other guy. You just or lady. You just exchange ideas, and you always make sure to give him or her some room, to you try to become one, not to prove who's the best drummer. That's it.
Yeah.
And I played with some amazing drummers that they could just kill me in 4 bars, and they didn't. So they just give me space. I do what I do. I try to stay on the groove area, which is the most common thing we have. And that's it. You always exchange ideas. You try to point the beauty of the instrument, but again, always give some room. It's like you play with a band, okay, and the guitar player or the saxophone player, whoever, trumpet player, they take a solo and you just overplay and you start doing feels like all the time, So
I understand.
Yeah, okay. So that's the only rule that I understand, that give some space and make it beautiful and productive. And not, like who's gonna prove he's the best,
Okay, yeah. Got it. Okay, maestro, faccio un attimo le mie domande. So, some questions that are from me and from the guys, because...
una cosa, poi riesci con la tua domanda a mettere la domanda anche di Alessandro?
Sì, facciamo tutto uno, non ti preoccupare.
Mi interessa sapere anche questa cosa.
In my mind, I had the question, but also the guys in the comments said, before I'm saying this, whatever I want to ask, so it's kind of multiple mind question. Okay, so I want to ask you, Arrogat wants to ask, which band George was approached? No, which band George approached as the first band as music? So which band started your passion of the music, and which drummer started to make you say, okay, I want to play drums? And which band are the bands that you started to grow up with? So some artists that you would like to collaborate as a dream dream work, for example?
Yeah. My first listening, I was 7 years old, and I got into AC/DC for those about to rock.
Okay.
So that was the first album, and then that I listened to, and then I bought Flick of the Switch, which is from AC/DC, the next album, and together with Power Slave from Iron Maiden. So I would say the first band that really, really got me into the music was Maiden.
Okay.
And a little bit later was Metallica, and Metallica, especially with Justice for All, the drums were like in front of the mix, and Lars back then, he was the drummer, the inspiration for everybody. I know some people, they listen to the latest album, which, he's always a little bit slower, or, he doesn't push, but back then he was amazing, man. He was killer. So Lars Ulrich was my main inspiration to start to pick up the sticks and play drums. And then it was Igor Cavalera from Sepultura that really changed my playing. I'm in love with Sepultura, especially the Beneath Arise era, and the band, though, of course, Morbid Angel and all these bands, Pete Sandoval, the greatest, but the band that really changed everything for me, up to this day, I still think the same thing. It was Death. Death was the best metal band. That was it. Human, for example, Human was it changed fucking metal, like it changed everything. You got a jazz drummer, he just finished Berkeley, and you're like, okay, play some double bass and skank beats, and it's different. It's really, really different. And I really respect bands like Atheist, or Spastic King, like really technical bands that got it on the next level. Even back then, they sounded amazing. I mean, try to cover an Atheist song from the the 90s era. Unbelievable. Like they're really, really tough songs. But Death was mainstream without being mainstream, and they were jazzy without being jazzy. I don't know. It will definitely be the band that I always wanted to play with. Fortunately, it's not possible now. But yeah. Okay. So Death.
Okay. And we had the chance to chat with Paul Masvidal about that Human period, and it was amazing the fact that he said that in Human they were pushed down the idea. He said at the beginning that songs had to be more articulated, more progressive, more strange, more weird. But Chuck said, no, guys, slow a little bit down and make more solid things and not. But I was even wondering if Chuck was still alive today, what he would compose, because of course we got Human, we got Symbolic. So
I
reaching the high bar time to time. So
you said something really, really important. You said Chuck. It wasn't Death. It was Chuck. Chuck was the man, and he would take the serious drum machines they had back in the 90s, and compose the drums in drum machines and give it to the some of the greatest drummers ever. So, you get like a top drummer, like Gene Hoglan, obviously, he's top, and you're like, okay, this is what I want you to play, and then of course Gene will make it his and translate it on a more drumming language. The results, like I said, some of the best music ever written, especially for metal by far.
Okay. Yeah. Really about drumming, there is a question from James Sofia Salvatori here. Drummer questions.
Ciao, James.
Beyond all the drum techniques which you can reach with the practice, how can you play metal with your soul and passions?
Soul and okay. First of all, I gotta tell you, Gemma is like one of the best drummers in Italy. She was my student at the drum camp we did in Palazuolo sul Senio. So to the question, but you will hear for her a lot. The question: how can you play metal with your soul and passion? Okay, for every style of music, there is two things. First of all, technique. Like, for example, in jazz, you can't just go and beep, 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 beep. You know, you got to have a little bit of technique to play with dynamics. So, you know, the right technique is, the best thing, in my opinion, the most important thing that you have to do as the first step. But then the soul is a different thing, especially for metal. If you don't believe 100% in the music, I don't think you can play metal, and I would say this for every style of music, but for metal, you have to also go through pain, like playing 260 BPM or something, so you gotta be really, really into the music. So I would say, have the passion for a specific style, it's super crucial. I don't think you could do it without one of the, two things, technique or the passion. But if you don't have both on a really nice level, I don't think you will ever become great. So that's the difference. You can do it, but not in a great level. So for me, it's extremely important to believe in the music, have the right technique and get in the music with, 100% of, all your soul. But then always keep windows open for other styles to get inspired and, do something more unique instead of copying what everybody did, So, yes, 100% passion.
Yeah. Okay. And passion is the reason that we are here also this morning talk with George, because we always said in the Calice Nero podcast here that, of course, we had the pleasure to meet our favorite artist as George, but we without fans, without passion, no shows, no drum companies, no zine, no promoters. So the core of the things is the passion. Of course, business is business. Okay, we don't say that, but the main things about this genre of music is the passion, because a lot of blood, sweat, and tears are behind what we see every day. What band that's is touring, the drummer that is developing technique. So it's important to also focus on that. And I'm really happy that you, George, says also that in answering the James questions.
Okay. Yeah, you can learn anything in life. Like somebody can teach you how to play, I don't know, how to fly a plane. With the right knowledge and the right amount of lessons, you can do it. But there are some people who have 100% passion for that specific thing. And, these people will be always, on the next level, always.
Okay.
Traduciamo tutto allora.
Okay, just some minutes of pause for you, and meanwhile I have taking duties
translation.
Of translation. Okay. Praticamente abbiamo parlato di varie cose, fondamentalmente. Iniziamo dall'ultima domanda. Ciò che rispondendo alla domanda di James, praticamente, che tra l'altro viene menzionato dallo stesso George come uno dei migliori batteristi che abbiamo qua in Italia, che ha conosciuto al campus che recentemente ha fatto il nostro paese, parla che sostanzialmente il modo per suonare qualsiasi tipo di musica, ma specialmente il metal, non è solo la tecnica ma anche la passione per questo genere, perché comunque senza passione non si va avanti, e la passione è anche quello che fa comunque andare avanti noi. Per quanto riguarda la domanda di Alessandro e di Arogat, con quale artista band dei sogni piacerebbe collaborare, ovviamente ha parlato di Chuck Schuldiner e dei Death, menzionando anche band come gli Atheist, che hanno portato al livello successivo quello che è iniziato con Human. Per quanto riguarda come si è avvicinato alla musica e alla batteria, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, ma soprattutto Lars Ulrich con l'album And Justice for All. Io sto cercando comunque, ragazzi, di nelle traduzioni, perché come potete sempre cliccare il pulsante della traduzione automatica su YouTube e anche su Facebook, mi pare anche su Twitch, di stringere le traduzioni, perché vogliamo dare la possibilità a tutti di fare domande a George. Quindi
aspetta, è la domanda che gli ho fatto io?
Ah, esatto, la domanda che hai fatto tu, che stavo appunto per tradurre, quella dell'ensemble con più batterie, dici che diciamo che è una sorta di cosa embrionale, diciamo, di questa tua fatto di più batteristi che suonano insieme, la fa già alle Clinic o altri batteristi in quella che viene chiamata drum battle, dove dice l'unica occasione dove si può fare overplay, dove si può suonare tanto, ma c'è anche, non è una battaglia, non è una competizione, è un fatto di suonare insieme, si fanno i groove, si fanno parti, si fanno 4 misure, 4 misure, 8 misure, 8 misure per esaltare il batterismo di entrambi. Quindi se avesse l'occasione di gemmare con più batteristi, si creerebbero delle parti concatenate come già fa in queste drum battle, dove si esalta il singolo musicista e si crea una chimica tra le parti che fa rendere lo spettacolo unico sostanzialmente. Quindi lui questo approccio lo farebbe con, per esempio, anche come uno che suona la tromba mentre fa l'assolo, ovviamente non prende più spazio, quindi dice lui non è un batterista jazz, però ha avuto a che fare anche con batteristi jazz, e dal batterista jazz non si aspetta di certo che lui suona tanti blast beat, ma si aspetta che lui faccia la sua parte e l'altro faccia la propria parte, senza andare a cozzare, ma creando comunque una sorta di vortice di emozioni, di suoni, e comunque una sorta di anche, diciamo, collaborazione tra le parti.
Allora, adesso cito un batterista che tutti adorano sicuramente. Non c'entra niente con il metal estremo, però vorrei mettere il metal estremo, vorrei mettere George Kollias, vorrei mettere i Nile tutti insieme. Allora, cito Vinny con l'aiuta. George, tu mi devi dire, come riuscite fra voi due, te, George Kollias e Vinny con l'aiuta, a creare un nuovo disco dei Nile, ma senza la voce, con un violino e una chitarra acustica? Che tipo di CD, che tipo di produzione andreste a creare?
Okay, so Alan, the maestro, in his fantasy, said, "Oh, I have to ask this to George, even if it's too like."
No, io voglio una cosa del genere, non fantasia, perché sarebbe affigato.
Lo so. In case you had the chance to record, for example, something like Nile, but more avant-gardistic, so more metal oriented.
Yeah.
Kit to kit in front with Vinny con l'aiuta. Which kind, in your opinion, of music can be created by the collaboration of and the cooperation of two drummers like you and him together?
That's a weird question.
I know, but the maestro is famous for weird questions.
No. Vinny is like it's one of the few drummers that he can play every style. Obviously, I never heard him, playing blast beats and stuff, but he played Megadeth, he did an album with Megadeth, so he played metal. And in my opinion, he's the greatest out there. So which collaboration? I don't fucking know. Like, I have no idea. I mean, what my approach probably will be, try to sound okay for being in the same room with him, try to get close to the level, but never don't be fancy. I don't think I will do anything fancy,
Okay.
Just keep the groove and to stay there.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure, I mean, because I write music, I write a lot of music. I write funk music, a little bit of jazz. I mean, talking about guitars and bass, and so I'm really into writing. I think probably something good will come up, but as a drummer sitting next to him, I mean, you can't do much,
Ok. Maestro, qualche altra domanda per George? Vuoi fare, poi traduciamo?
Allora, George, quanto è stato complicato nel comporre con i Nile, e qual è il set batteristico, i pattern di batteria più difficoltosi verso i Nile, quelli dove ci hai perso più tempo, nel senso positivo, e qual è stato il blast beat più complesso nel crearlo e nel portarlo live rispetto allo studio?
Okay, so the question is about composing also with Nile drum parts, and he wants to know what are your approach when you write with Nile, and also some parts that you remember the most challenging part, the most challenging blast beat, for example, and which section you remember as the most difficult to improve, achieve, meanwhile a composition session or a studio session. It's something that you put so much effort and say, oh, finally you hear the result and you are satisfied, and say, finally all the hours in the practice room paid me off. You remember something, also some fun stories that you want to share with us during the composition recording with Nile?
many funny stories, but obviously I can't really go in these stories so much.
No problem.
The only I dare to say that the only album that we did with Niall, and I'm 100% satisfied, is Vile Nilotic Rights, the last one we did, and I think not only as composers, because I can hear how much more mature we're playing right now, because I'm playing with Carl for 19 years, so 19 years play with the same guy. Obviously we have some new guys as well, but on that album was Brian. He was 5 years in the band, and Brad, he was 7 years in the band. So we had a really, really strong lineup, and we're about to repeat the same with a few different changes. So I can hear the band being more mature. The compositions are more mature, but I'm very, very happy with the drumming as well. I think the drumming is by far the best drumming I ever did, with Niall. Because, back in the day, I mean, okay, some of the albums we did, it's got like a 260 blast beat or 270 or something, which is challenging, but, up to a point, because if you get warm up and you just push and you go for it, then it becomes easy sometimes, after all these years, it becomes easy. But for Vile, the last album, I mean, just as an example, go and listen to the last song, We Are Cursed. There are so many feels there, which now we're practicing the song, to play it live sometime, so I have to relearn what I'm doing because it's so fucking busy, so I can hear more like mature compositions, but also challenging myself way more than the past albums. And I'm not talking about blast beats only, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say to you about your evolution with Niall. So you spent a lot of years with the band. Also, your style evolved, but also your concept of the drum kit, the pieces, the cymbals.
Yeah.
As they had an evolution like you in the band. So your concept for some things, some equipment changed during the years, and if you have to compare past and now in your evolution on the kit, because I think that the kit is also important to express yourself with the band and what you're playing. Which kind of things you will never go back? So I think, that time I used it, for example, a 24-inch ride, but now I will never use it anymore. You have something like this that you regret and some wrong decision about the gear, not about the quality, about the musical expression in this case, or you evolved yourself with the gear and you say, okay, I'm fine with all things that I did in the past and now.
Well, my setup hasn't changed much. I mean, this is it, obviously. There you go. That's my Masterworks. That's my everyday drum set. So it hasn't changed much, The only thing I would change from the past days will be the snare tuning on Epiphallic. I fucking hate that. Every time I hear this album, I hate the snare. I just fucking hate it. It's so death metal-ish. It's like it's really tight, played at the center, like everybody did back then, and I just hate the snare.
Okay.
That's it. That's the only thing. Everything else, I mean, the setup is the same. I used to have some percussion sometimes live, and sometimes I don't. Like, for example, like a 14-inch floor tom, which is actually a hang tom, which I try to do some more weird grooves, and I don't use it every time because we don't play these songs. Some percussion with the feet, like a foot snare, stuff like that. But or the remote hi-hat. So I have two hi-hats to play some, multi-pedal stuff, So it depends to the songs. Like if for example we play some songs that I used to use the remote hi-hat, then I'll bring it back. But I try to keep the set as small as possible. And I know it's not small. I see it small. I don't. To me, it's not a big drum set. you know. So I don't know. I use everything, you know.
Okay.
I use 3 crashes on the front and a crash here when I go on the second floor, Tom. So I'm like, you know, I have something, so I don't have to go back to the front crashes, you know. And then 2 chimes here for you know, accent while I'm blast beating or something, and then 2 chimes here, some splashes. That's it. You know, it's not a massive kit. For example, I don't have one cymbal that I'm not hitting every 10 seconds or 20 seconds.
Okay.
So I use everything. I use everything all the fucking time, you know?
Okay.
I would like to have a gong, but for one, whoosh, you know, then you have to set it up every day. You have to carry it, you know, with a tour, you know, with a tour bus. And, you know, it takes a lot of time. It's extra work for the crew just to be fancy. Because I would like to have a bigger drum set and be more fancy and look better, you know. But like I said, I keep on stage exactly the items I'm using to keep it more simple.
Ok, perfetto. Ok, quindi translation time again for George. Ok, praticamente.
I go for a coffee.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
No, I got just my fourth expression till this morning because I was playing yesterday and on Friday, so I was like drinking all the espresso here. About drink, we will come up later with when we do the last question because we have something prepared strange for you, but I think that you are aware about that we are weird guys, but we try to make interview interesting, not to make the same thing. So we try to do unique stuff, and I hope that you are enjoying the questions so far from us and from the audience. Comunque abbiamo parlato tanto. Allora, io ho fatto una domanda particolare sul set e se nel corso degli anni ha avuto qualche rimorso su qualcosa che non gli è piaciuto. E lui praticamente a lui non gli è piaciuta sostanzialmente l'accordatura di un album dei Nile, perché diceva era troppo come gli altri album death metal. Ok. E per quanto riguarda la tua domanda, lui fa molto di riferimento alla sessione dell'ultimo album, che è stata molto impegnativa, perché comunque dopo 19 anni di informazione con i Nine, la formazione era consolidata, c'è chi da 5, chi da 7, dice che praticamente suonare 260, 270 era diventato facile. Da Is aggiungerei, io manco a 120 ci arrivo. In ogni caso dice che loro per esempio hanno molto giocato sul fatto dei fill, per esempio una canzone in particolare, tanti fill che adesso deve reinterpretare, reimparare per i live, insomma si è andato molto ad andare ai loro limiti proprio, però oramai è consolidato, quindi dice che tutta diciamo tutto quello che è stato fatto, le parti più impegnative, soprattutto l'ultimo disco, che tra l'altro l'ultimo disco è quello in cui è l'unico che è soddisfatto del risultato della batteria. Negli altri c'è sempre qualcosa che non gli piaceva a livello di gusto.
Per livello di Nicola Aiuta?
Allora, Nicola Aiuta dice che lui è anche un compositore musicale e andrebbe più a comporre che a suonare insieme a lui, ma cercherebbe di non fare tante cose, ma di rimanere sul groove e di cercare di suonare almeno decentemente per il contesto, perché comunque quindi non ha suonato mai blast beat, però comunque ha suonato con i Megadeth, quindi diciamo che è uno dei pochi che riesce a suonare tutto, quindi lui non vorrebbe, se avesse mai l'occasione di suonare con lui, di non sfigurare.
No, ma non sfigurerebbe, perché George Kollias potrebbe essere il futuro di Nicola Aiuta, non sto scherzando. Non sto scherzando.
Ok. Praticamente c'è un commento del caro Matteo, che tra l'altro ho incontrato al Titans of Metal Fest. Allora. Quindi Matteo, sì, Titans of Metal è stato molto bello, ne abbiamo parlato proprio adesso e siamo contenti di essere state partner e ringraziamo tutta l'organizzazione e ci vediamo presto. Ragazzi, Matteo è stata una persona che veramente dal soundcheck si è visto tutti, ha aiutato con l'organizzazione, un ragazzo molto che ci crede in quello che fa, e quindi ringrazio Matteo e ringraziamo l'organizzazione. Ok,
allora
vai Alan con la prossima domanda.
George, Dave Lombardo ha fatto il meeting per Vivaldi, come riuscirebbe George Kollias a fare il meeting per Pascoli con la sua batteria?
Okay, so since we know that David Lombardo played something of Vivaldi,
Vivaldi, sì, meeting, sì, ha fatto apparizioni.
Vivaldi meeting. So the maestro said he catched him playing some classical music. David Lombardo from the. He wants to know your approach in case you had the chance to collaborating and bring, like, also Mike Terrana made some music about classical music and metal drumming. We would like to ask you your approach in this case, if you had the chance, and also asking you if you already had the chance to collaborate
Verso Pascoli proprio.
Something similar.
I would definitely say yes, 100%. Like I did many times. I played. Man, I even played not an album, a pop song.
Okay.
I did it was a singer, and she's a young singer, and I know her mother, and her mother knows every musician. So, she got like a really killer musicians, and I was like, yes. So I would definitely say yes. And I love doing different things, getting into new areas, because it's just inspiring, and it makes me a better drummer, for sure, a better musician. So for sure, I will investigate a little bit the style of music, try to see what others did, and how to approach it. But I will definitely approach it in a really nice way, and it will help me as a drummer as well. The only thing is, like, I'm not a big fan of classical music. That's the only thing. I will do it. I'm just not a big fan, That's it. I'm leaning towards more into jazz and funk and blues, But yeah, never did the classical music. But like I said, I will do it anyways.
Ok. Ha detto che comunque non è un grosso fan della musica classica, piace più il blues, più il jazz, però lui comunque ha avuto l'occasione anche di registrare un brano pop, perché è stato, comunque conosceva la madre del cantante, che comunque ha messo in mezzo una line-up esagerata, e quindi lui ha fatto anche produzioni pop. Per quanto riguarda la musica classica, lui lo farebbe, a prescindere dall'autore, perché è più da ispirazione da tante cose, quindi lui praticamente userebbe questa occasione per aprire la mente e avere ispirazione. Ovviamente farebbe delle investigazioni su come dovrebbe suonare, anche quello che hanno fatto gli altri, quindi diciamo che il suo approccio è sempre positivo riguardo a queste cose, perché comunque la vede come occasione anche per imparare e per allargare gli orizzonti. Infatti ha detto più volte durante questa intervista che allargare gli orizzonti è importante per essere anche educati a livello musicale e per alzare il livello, anche a livello proprio didattico, quindi conoscere le note, cioè la musica in generale. Poi, essendo anche compositore, penso che l'ispirazione sia importante. Facciamo a Maestro, che ne pensi? Facciamo una domanda di Alessandro e l'ultima domanda del podcast.
Sì, poi lasciamo, e poi direi che lo salutiamo un attimino in privato, che voglio chiedere una cosa. 2 secondi, lo rubiamo.
George, we got last question for you. And we also, if you have no problem to stay some extra minutes after the live show for some things that we want to ask you at the end of it. Okay, the question again. Grazie Alessandro. Thanks Alessandro, because he's catching all of my questions. But anyway, he's asking how you see the evolution of metal drumming. Because we saw, for example, new band. I'm making this to his question. Addiction. Bands like, for example, Lorna Shore, extreme fast drumming, extreme technique. How you see this evolution compared to when you started? Because you and Derek were, in my opinion, the first that approached to educate the blast stuff and. So for this reason, since you were like one of the pioneers of this kind of drumming, because of course Francesco Paoli of Flashcode, James Payne of Our Penance, and is from the mode said that you guys were his inspiration. What are your opinions about this evolution in heavy metal drumming?
The evolution was everything was happening like normal back then. For example, I agree. Derek and myself, we took it on the educational side, so we kind of spread it to people like more like the right way, and not like, okay, look what I'm doing and then just copy. With both of our books and our DVDs, and all this stuff. So I agree. But before Derek, and of course myself too, there were so many drummers, like Pete Sandoval, Steve Asin from D-Side, Donald Tardy from Obituary. For me, I grew up with these guys. So these are the guys that I learned how to play. I was playing Obituary, Dayside, all day, Morbid Angel, So, and of course, more thrash drummers like Witch Hunter and obviously Igor Cavalera, So these guys were, for me, the first pioneers and stuff. And then what we took with Derek, we just make it a little bit more official with the DVDs and all this stuff, So it was, for me, the evolution was pretty good and normal. Everything was happening normal. And now we're going like this way. Now it's going like shit. It's death metal right now. It's the shittiest ever was. And the reason is because people are fucking lazy. That's it. I say this a lot. And many people accusing me for, playing a lot of funk and jazz and all this stuff. And I'm like, listen, name one death metal band, that the drummer will inspire you, And all I see, especially the last years, is drummers who try to get the easy way, with the doubles, right?
Yeah,
doubles and the 2-foot blast beats. And, one guy one time on YouTube, he accused me that I'm not talking about death metal and I'm just more leaning into funk and stuff. Well, I'm still here playing death metal the original way. So every time I write this kit, there's a lot of pain I have to go through, but I do single strokes and 1-foot blast beats because that's how I learn. And everything I see on the young kids, they try to get what's the way to go. And tomorrow I can be like Derek. Well, it's not possible. Thankfully, because we do a lot of drum camps and I have a lot of students around the world with my online lessons, I see a lot of young blood, which, they try the original way. They push the real thing, and they're not looking for alternatives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these young guys and girls are my hope for tomorrow. But today the evolution of death metal, it's really bad. I think it's really bad. And it's funny how bad it is actually, because I'm trying to find inspiration, and there's like 5 drummers that I'm like, okay, I love what they do. So I have to find inspiration somewhere else, and that's why I listen more funk and jazz. That's it.
Okay.
I have to. Sorry for the death metal guys out there, but I have to be honest. I try to motivate people. I'm like, okay, here's a 1-foot blast. It's too difficult. Okay, it might take 2 years, but when you can do that, you're faster with double bass as well.
Yeah, and also the magic numbers. I want to play 300 BPM, but when I have maybe because I am a power player, but my philosophy behind the drum kit is to play and feel. If I have to push the snare like this to get the speed, I don't like it. I want to play like Igor Cavalera, like smashing things, because I want to feel it. Maybe it's my limit. I cannot go. I'm not a speed metal drummer. I still have problems. I'm still working on my double bass, but I saw, for example, when I played with other bands, Eduardo, for example, he plays with feeling.
Yes,
I saw other guys that are like playing without don't waste energy like this, and I say, what is happening? Also, the triggers. People relies on triggers too much these days.
You can't rely on triggers though. I mean, if you play doubles and you get that little bounce thing, and then okay, is it cheating? I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's not original. So then you might rely on triggers, but most times the triggers will make you cleaner. So I'm telling you from my personal experience, I used to play extreme death metal without triggers, and I was so fast. It was like everything was perfect. And when I put triggers on, it wasn't that perfect. I'm like, oops. So there is a good side and a bad side. So if you use the trigger for what they're made for, they're awesome. They're just awesome. And I'm using Italian triggers. I use a foot blasters as well.
I have my own foot blasters.
Yes. So it's like so natural. It's like it's 100% natural. You just get a little bit help from a sample, and it makes you get on the to the PA like really, really loud. That's the only difference. But on the other side, will make you super clean. If you miss a note, everybody will tell.
Yeah.
And something you said about Eduardo was in my camp in Palazzuolo sul Senio, and Eduardo, Gemma Sofia, Pietro, 19-year-old guy, fucking amazing drummers. So these guys for me are the hope for death metal, because everything I see the last 10 years, man, it's so bad. And
the fact that you see the diet also those days, that even people that are posting drum covers on YouTube, they quantize and edit videos. I don't know why people wasting too much energy into this. Maybe I'm anti-modern because I record even with one camera. Okay, but the guy. No,
you gotta know the reason. For example, if one band pays me 10,000 euros to record their album, right? And then if I edit, not quantize, it's pretty shitty. But if I do fix all my parts, that's because I got paid a lot of money, and I have to deliver something 100% professional. So I got paid, I did it. That makes sense. If I try to promote my name and I quantize or fix something, okay, as a drummer, okay, here's a cover of me playing, and everything is fixed. This is like you trying to find a girlfriend via Instagram, and you put all these shitty filters, so it's not real. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And when the girl sees you, she will be like, "Is this you?" Like you're fake.
I got the point. Yes.
So this. You look really good. You sound very good, and you look really good in a fake fucking world. That's what I say to people, and especially to my students. This is fake world. Whatever happens on Instagram, it's fucking fake. If you want to become an Instagrammer, it's fine, of course, but that's not fucking music. If you want to become a player and a musician, you got to do the real thing. You got to play gigs, and of course promote your name, but don't put a lot of filters, because then somebody will hire you and they will fire you because you're not what they saw. Yeah,
the truth will emerge without any mercy. So
yeah, okay. You gotta be honest. I'm a drummer. That's what I do. It's very simple. It's really simple.
Okay. George, translating just a little bit, and the last question for you. So we don't want to waste your time too much.
I'm fine.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
Ok ragazzi, veramente l'evoluzione del death metal non la vede positiva per tutto questo fatto di truccarsi, editarsi eccetera. Loro
su Instagram
comunque... esatto. Lui parte comunque dal fatto che ha imparato dai Morbid Angel, dagli Obituary, da tutte queste cose qua. L'evoluzione è normale, però dice che adesso si sta andando a un punto di non ritorno. Esatto. Ci sta andando un punto di non ritorno, perché vede tanta gente che cerca di cheatare per arrivare velocemente al risultato. Per esempio lui parla del blast beat, quello là con 2 piedi, lui ne fa uno solo. Parla per esempio del fatto dei doppi colpi. Molto spesso le persone praticamente, se gli togli il trigger, il suono acustico fa cagare, loro stesso, cioè sono statici e secchi, cosa che avviene purtroppo in tante produzioni moderne di tanti gruppi che anche a me piacciono. Poi vai a vedere il video live e capisci benissimo la situazione. Quindi lui diciamo che prende ispirazione altrove, infatti viene anche accusato che non posta tanto death metal, non parla tanto del death metal, però dice voglio trovare ispirazione altrove perché non vuole la falsità. Dice come se tu vuoi trovare una ragazza su Instagram e metti filtri, se li tocchi quindi questo è quello che ha detto. Quindi, però dice che anche persone come Edoardo, come gli altri che vanno ai camp, che vogliono imparare, che magari ci mettono tanto, sono la speranza, perché comunque c'è ancora un'attitudine che non è denigrare il nuovo, attenzione, ma semplicemente far emergere la purezza di questo genere ed evitare che comunque si continua a fare qualcosa di fake
Bravo che hai citato Edo.
Ho detto, sì, ho citato io Edo perché l'ho visto al vivo, infatti lo saluto veramente, a parte
no, non c'è bisogno di salutarlo perché c'è una cosa.
Sì. No, a parte le cose, io voglio dire che per esempio io ho detto per esempio come quelli che si editano le cover che fanno su YouTube, cioè quelli che fanno mille cose per i video su YouTube. I video su YouTube non lo concepisco così over
solo per farsi vedere, in poche parole.
Esatto. Però sono filosofie di vita, ognuno può dire la sua e ringraziamo Giorgio per la sua opinione.
Solamente Giorgio, vorrei sapere la tua opinione su un disco. Hai nominato diverse volte Morbid Angel. Heretic dei Morbid Angel con Tim Young, io lo vedo un suono plastificato. Tu come lo vedi invece come suono? Perché Tim Young nei Vital Remains ha creato veramente un qualcosa di particolare. Invece in Heretic molto plastificato il suo suono. Proprio la batteria non...
Ok, faccio anche l'ultima domanda. So George, a little...
wait, one second. Can I add something on the last question?
Yeah, sure. Okay, sure.
Because I don't want people to, get confused. Okay, I'm not bashing, the doubles for double bass and stuff. I know drummers would do that in a very productive way. Like, for example, John Longshrift, from Origin. What he does, it's way beyond this, the double thing or the singles. I know he can play singles. I know he can really push the doubles. But the thing is, like, he's got a very unique setup and he plays very, very unique parts. So that the whole thing blends really nice. Or Francesco Paoli, when he used to play drums, for Fresco, man, he was responsible for all the music, riffs and stuff. So, he's beyond that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say to the young generation, like, try the original way and see where it goes, and then add things to the original thing. But add things, not get the shortcut. Just add things.
Of course, you were very clear when you answered the first part. Okay, you can put your
but the evolution. There is no evolution, though.
I just want to let you know that nobody meant that you were bashing someone. Of course, okay. But
just to make it clear, yeah.
Okay. About this, really last question. Few words on it. You named the Morbid Angel, and the Maestro wants to know your opinion about Heretic with Tim Young. He does not like the production of that album because he loves Tim Young with Vital Remains. And what are your opinion about that particular album as fans of
Tim Young didn't play on Heretic.
Non ha suonato su Heretic.
No, volevo dire Pete Sandoval.
Sì, Pete Sandoval volevo dire.
Yeah. Okay. If you're talking about the next album, the one with Tim Young,
a little lapsus from the Maestro about the album name, but he meant the album with Tim Young.
The album with Tim Young. Okay.
He got wrong the name, but it happens.
Well, I gotta tell you, this album got a lot of bad reviews because of a couple songs. The more like the ones with the beat.
No.
You know the story, right?
Yeah, I know the story.
Yeah, but man, other than that, the songs in there, fucking killer. I think it's a great album. It's just these two songs that confused people and people got mad and all this bullshit. I like the album, and as far as Tim goes, Tim is one of my favorite drummers. Like everybody knows, like he's a real deal. And he fitted the band, like he fits the band so great. I was really sad when I heard he left the band, and then he left I Am Morbid as well, because he was just blending so well in this style of music. But I think Tim did great. Now the production, it's not Tim's fault,
Yeah, we know because he loved.
No, aspetta, volevo dire in Illu Divinum Insanus.
Yeah.
In quel disco volevo dire Tim Young, che mi sono confuso. Io.
In fact, the Maestro got confused about the name, but he said I really love.
Dove ha suonato Tim Young, che lo vedo un suono plastificato in quel disco. È d'accordo con me, Giorgio? Oppure c'è un'altra visione?
I love Tim Young. He followed Tim Young, one of his favorite drummer, but he said it's too much plastic on that production side. Do you agree with him, or maybe some?
I heard worse.
Okay.
I heard the much worse. Like I heard. I heard bands that yeah, okay. it's you know, it sounds like they're programmed, you know, like so.
Okay.
It's like I said, it's the producer's opinion, and all producers nowadays they want these clean, blended samples with toms and snares and all this shit, you know. So this is the modern way of mixing albums. Can I, you know, I mean, if I wanted to keep it like 100% natural, like we did for Annihilation of the Wicked, right? This is 100% natural, you know, like it's, you know, you can hear the toms and snares and everything, you know, but it doesn't sound good for today. It sounds really bad if you compare it to 2022 albums. I like it. I like the vibe. I love the, you know, the atmosphere when we recorded the album and everything. I have great memories, but today you can't really. It's like you hear like Rhapsody, for example. Rhapsody, right? You know, everything is perfect. Everything. I mean, it's a modern production, you know. And then you're like, you know what? I prefer Judas Priest of, you know, 85. That's, you know, that's just your opinion. But a producer today, a very expensive producer, will never release something which is sloppy and the drummer is a little bit, you know.
Okay.
If there's you know, there's some false notes here and there, okay, that's, you know, keep it real. No fucking way. So it has to do with productions, you know, and you know, unfortunately, right now, every album kind of sounds like this. This is not my problem. The problem is when drum videos sounds like this.
Okay. No, I got your point. Yeah. Quindi, maestro, il fatto di Tim Young che noi amiamo. So just to avoid misunderstanding, we love Tim Young.
Perché mi piace molto David Remains, mi piace.
The maestro love is working with the Remains. He was like unhappy with the production. So il problema è il produttore, dice, perché adesso oggi tutto deve suonare pulito per gli standard moderni. Ok, George, last questions for you. Since we are called il Calice Nero, that in English means the Black Calice, we always ask to our guests, mainly bands, to represent their sound via a drink. But today, we want to say which drink can represent George Kollias. I have some ideas, but I let you answer, of course.
Okay. So represent any drink, right?
Yeah, any drink, you know, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, okay. Whatever you want.
I think I would say Annihilation of the Wicked, which was my first Nile album. It's a double espresso. It's you know, it's coffee only, no sugar, no nothing. You know, just you know, real. That's it. That's what we do. Take it, you know.
Quindi diciamo un espresso forte per il primo album dei Nile. Bellissimo.
Geniale, no?
Now say quattro espresso, like really.
Fantastic.
People in the comments were like betting of your answer. Someone said, "I bet some dark beer," but you, of course, said coffee. So Alessandro, you lost.
That's for Annihilation of the Wicked. I would say.
Okay, solo per Annihilation of the Wicked. Okay.
Yes. The latest album, Vile, Nilotic Rights. I would say it's a very, very expensive and old wine. It's fucking mature, man. That's for me. Like I said, I can hear how mature we turn as a band, and you know, the way we compose and everything, and the way we perform, because we haven't get slower. I mean, Carl is 59, I'm 45. You know, so I'm not 25, 26 when I was in for Annihilation of the Wicked, but you know, we play the same fast. You know, we can even push faster. But you know, the being mature, you know, on the composing area, it takes years. There is no shortcut to this. You know, just have to do it a lot. You gotta love it a lot, and you gotta experiment and, you know, try different things, and finally find your own identity. Which I think we had identity as a band, but now it's stronger. Okay. That's what I think. So a very expensive wine. A very expensive wine. Yeah. Red wine.
Ok, quindi per il primo album un doppio espresso, per l'ultimo album, per la concezione della maturità della band, un un vino rosso molto costoso. Quindi fate voi a casa, voi italiani che bevete vino, fate voi. Io non bevo, quindi. Ok, quindi
George, ti salutiamo in privato.
Ok, so thank you, George, for being with us. And
thank you.
We ask you to say some extra minutes after the show, just for something. And thanks for your time. We appreciate when people give away his time to do interviews or episodes like this. We never take anything for granted. So thank you, George.
Thank you, man. And, it's a pleasure. Thanks to everybody who tune in.
Thanks to everybody. And we want to remind guys that this episode will stay online. So don't worry if you catch the last minutes. You can rewatch it. Because we got comments that people watch this episode while they're cooking, while they're practicing on the pad, they put the video. So for us, it's an honor when you guys watch the video. If you want to support, of course, George and his work, you know the links and stuff. We will put everything in the description, of course. And thank you again, George. Thank you, guys. Have a nice rest of this Sunday, and see you in the next episode. Quindi ciao a tutti e alla prossima. Vai maestro con la fine.
Il 13 Records e il 15 tripla intervista con video killer eccetera playlist killer dalle 20 dalle 22:30 con Umanima, il Golem e Cristallo e Petrolio.
Ok, ciao a tutti, alla prossima.